Steak frites with chimichurri. Let's get cooking. Double fried French fries are amazing, and they're just as great as the fries restaurants make. I'll show you how to make them at home. We start by prepping russet potatoes. When buying, try to find ones that are hard to the touch and free of any little sprouting bits. Potatoes grow in the dirt, so you definitely want to start by washing them in cold water in a colander. After they're all clean of any debris, take your first potato and slice a thin piece from one side lengthwise. You will use this as a base, which will add stability while you cut slices the width of your finger. Don't worry if they aren't perfect, just try to keep them about the same thickness. Next, stack up your slices of potato and cut your fries to the same thickness. After you have enough cut fries, place them in a bowl and cover with water, and then drain off the water. You want to remove as much starch from the potatoes as you can. You may have to do this 2 or 3 times. Once the water is no longer cloudy, cover the fries with water and let soak for at least 30 minutes. After enough time has passed, drain the potatoes and spread the cut fries on a paper towel-lined sheet pan or on your countertop. Let them chill out and wait until they're as dry as possible. If you have space in your fridge, it'll actually dry them off quickly if left uncovered. If you have the time, do this overnight, but who are we kidding? You definitely want to make these as soon as possible. A great side to any steak, among other proteins and starches, is chimichurri, and now is a good time to start it so it's ready when the steak and fries are done. Chimichurri is an Argentinian sauce made with herbs, olive oil, and vinegar. It's somewhat similar to a vinaigrette, but relies heavily on the herbs, whereas a basic vinaigrette doesn't usually. We want to have this ready to go once our steak and fries are ready. To start, we combine a 1/4 cup of hot water, 2 teaspoons of dried oregano, and salt in a small bowl and let steep for 5 minutes to soften the oregano. Next, in our Vitamix, we add about 1.5 cups of fresh Italian flat leaf parsley, 1/2 cup of cilantro, 6 minced garlic cloves, and 1/2 teaspoon of red chili flakes. After some pulsing in the blender, it should be pulpy and still coarse. We don't want to make a puree out of our beautiful herbs. To this, we can now incorporate the water and now softened oregano into the mixture. Along with that, we pour in 1/4 to 1/2 cup of red wine vinegar. I tend to go heavier only because I prefer it more. Pulse again briefly, only to combine. The mixture should now be a bit thinner, and we can transfer it to a medium bowl and slowly whisk in 1/2 cup of olive oil until emulsified, just like a vinaigrette. Now we can cover the chimichurri with plastic or a lid and let it sit at room temperature for at least 1 hour. You can keep it in the fridge for a couple of days, but make sure to bring it back up to room temperature and re-whisk before serving. If you have a deep fryer, this is your time to shine. If not, a Dutch oven or a pot that can easily hold a couple quarts of oil will work just fine. Just make sure you have a good thermometer. Heat your oil to 325 degrees Fahrenheit and, in batches, cook the fries for at least 7 minutes. They'll start to get a little golden, but definitely not the super crispy fries we're after. Let those fries rest on a wire rack or in a bowl with paper towels to soak up any oil for at least 15 minutes. The steak in our steak frites we're cooking for this recipe is a boneless ribeye. If you ever see it in restaurants, you'll likely see a variety of different cuts like New York strip steaks. Also, I'm cooking the ribeye in a carbon steel pan, whereas charcoal grilled steak would likely be considered more consistent with the recipes you'll find. It's completely up to you what steak or protein you decide to use. Almost everything you cook tends to benefit from seasoning. With steaks, it's a good idea to season with at least salt at least 30 minutes or so before it hits the pan. You want to let the salt have time to penetrate into the meat. Grab a large pinch of kosher salt and sprinkle evenly over the entire steak. Freshly ground black pepper and garlic powder are also great to include. Using a paper towel, blot off any moisture left on the steaks. Salt will draw moisture from the steak, and you want to dry it off before it hits the pan. If you don't, the moisture will steam the steak and not form the crust we're after. After the oil in your pan is shimmering over medium-high heat, pour out any oil if it seems like there may be too much. Oil gets thinner as it heats, and too much oil tends to splatter once you start cooking. You can even pour out all of it. Enough will be left behind to create a non-stick surface. Furthermore, the fat from your steak will render off some fat, which aids in cooking and also tastes better. When ready, place your steak in the pan and let it cook for at least 3 to 5 minutes uninterrupted. Using tongs, lift up a side and see if a crust is formed. Once it has, flip it and add any aromatics you want to include. Here, we're adding whole smashed garlic cloves, fresh thyme, and butter. You'll start to hear the aromatics crackle in the fat and the butter quickly melts. We're basting the steak and it makes a huge difference. We tilt the pan towards us and spoon the butter over the steak until we feel it's ready. I like to leave the herbs on top of the steak and let the hot butter filter through them over the steak. Once the steak is about done to your liking, remove it to a cutting board and let it rest for no less than 10 minutes. Now heat the oil to 375 degrees. In batches again, cook the potatoes for 2 to 4 minutes, watching to make sure they reach the color we're after. We've already cooked the inside of the fries, and now, with the second fry, we'll get those super crispy fries. If you're not careful, you'll overcook them. Transfer the fries to a large bowl and season generously with salt and whatever other seasonings you like, tossing them to coat. Steak frites is something you can enjoy at a bar, a fancy restaurant, and of course your dining room table. It's one of those recipes that's a perfect symphony of textures and flavors, and if you make this with a chimichurri, a nice compound butter, or even some steak sauce, you'll always be happy you did. Thanks again for sticking around this long. If you like what you saw, you can find the full recipe on our website, recipesrecommended.com. Also, please let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you have a recipe you think we should make, send us a message and we'll check it out. We may also make a video. We thank you for joining us, and please don't forget, great minds eat alike.